He's a coward. He's an excuser for all this bad behavior. All he cares about is the optics of black and brown kids being attacked by the police. This city is meant to be enjoyed by all.
And what do you think the consequences should be for this behavior?
Lock them all up. Grab them all, detain them.
I know many of you already know about these teen takeovers. Remember back in Christmas, it was hundreds of teenagers in downtown Chicago. Streets were blocked, cars were jumped on, businesses were ransacked, and a 14-year-old died after the city's Christmas tree lighting. So today, we're talking about Chicago because the city's top cop union just went on camera and said what a lot of people are thinking. The FOP president called Mayor Brandon Johnson a coward on record, and he says he has the receipts to back it up. Let's get into it. Before we get into the FOP, let's set the table with the mayor himself, because the language Brandon Johnson uses tells you everything about how he is approaching this. Mind you, at this point, you should already know he's not the biggest fan of the police officers, even though he has, I think, over 100 watching him every day and his family. Let's talk about back in 2023, the South Loop that got swarmed and looted by a crowd of teens. Johnson held a press conference, and when the reporters pressed him on calling out this behavior, here's what he said.
Follow, when you say trends, what do you mean? Can you give us an example of a couple of the trends you're seeing?
Oh, you're not aware of some of these large gatherings?
You're talking about the mob actions?
Well, no. That's not appropriate. We're not talking about mob actions. I didn't say that.
What happened Sunday?
Okay, hold on a second, okay? Respectfully, these large gatherings.
That caused damage.
These large gatherings, just hold on a second, y'all. I promise you, we have time to talk. It's important that we speak of these dynamics in an appropriate way. This is not to obfuscate what is actually taking place. But we have to be very careful when we use language to describe certain behavior. There's history in this city. I mean, to refer to children as like baby Al Capones is not appropriate. So let me finish, please, okay? What I'm saying is that when you ask for very specific examples, there have been other attempts to have large gatherings, and we've intercepted those attempts.
Now into the FOP president.
The mayor doesn't like it. He's a coward. He's an excuser for all this bad behavior. And as long as people like him continue to call the shots, we're going to continue to have these situations until these kids get the message that it is not going to be allowed, that this city is meant to be enjoyed by all. And when you are running roughshod, I don't care what nationality or what part of the city you're in, when you're running roughshod, 100, 200 at a time, causing mayhem like that, the rest of the people in this city cannot enjoy it, and that's just wrong.
Now, this is very strong language, but here's a context that makes it land. His argument isn't just that Johnson is weak, is that Johnson knows exactly what he's doing. That's an accusation with a very detailed charge behind it. He's saying that the mayor is making a political calculation, that the visual of police engaging with black and brown teenagers is more politically costly to him than actual harm being done by the city. And Johnson's own record backs that framing up to a T. I mean, think about it. He literally called law enforcement a sickness.
The fact of the matter is we are driving violence down on this city, and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in this city. Guess why? You want to know why? Because the vast majority of them look like me.
And we also have some receipts on vetoes that's been happening, because this is where it stopped being an opinion and starts becoming policy. In the summer of 2025, Chicago City Council passed what was called a snap curfew ordinance. It would have allowed the police superintendent to declare a temporary curfew with 30 minutes notice when a group of 20 or more teens pose a threat to public safety. The vote was passed 27-22. Who asked for this? The police superintendent himself. Here's what his sponsor, Alderman Brandon Hopkins, said.
When it gets out of control, we must stop it.
I am sick and tired of people talking about public safety in this room.
The superintendent sat at that meeting and asked me to do this. He asked for the ordinance to be passed, and the mayor just denied that. That is unconscionable.
Mayor Johnson promising a veto.
In order for us to have safety policies, we have to make sure that we are not providing politicized knee-jerk reactions that do nothing to solve the fundamental problems of our city.
Johnson's progressive bloc protected him. And then within months, a 14-year-old was killed and 8 other teens was shot during a takeover that followed Chicago's Christmas tree lighting ceremony. Alderman Hopkins said this: when the next violent teen takeover happens, when the blood sheds, it's on them. The blood shed. And the mayor said that the current tools were enough. Now, here's an allegation that has not got nearly enough attention. During the same interview, the host asked the FOP president directly.
I have heard, John, secretly that officers have been told not to make arrests. Have you heard that? And what do you think the consequences should be for this behavior, no matter if it's downtown, no matter if it's in Hyde Park? What do you think the consequences should be for a teen takeover?
Listen, I think one of the simplest solutions is, especially if it's downtown, lock them all up, grab them all, detain them, take them as far away to Area 5 on Grand and Central and make the parents, and hold them there until the parents show up to pick them up. And keep doing it until the parents start knowing this, know where your kid is at. Like your kid's going to tell you, I'm going to a teen takeover to be an idiot.
He did not say no. He pivoted immediately to solutions. Detain them, bust them to Area 5, hold them until their parents show up. But that non-denial of a stand-down allegation from the FOP president is kind of like a receipt in itself. The question is now, is there documentation? Are there officers willing to go on record? Is there some kind of policy memo, a roll call instruction, a text chain? This allegation deserves a full pull, and hopefully we'll keep digging to see what's going on here. What we know is what we see. Teens taking over Hyde Park on Monday night in March 2026, damaged over a dozen vehicles, and police issued 3 curfew violations. 3 out of hundreds in the street. And the police issued 3 curfew violations. 3 out of hundreds in the street. If that is full enforcement, I wonder what does a stand down look like?
He just refuses to acknowledge that this is a problem because all he cares about is the optics of black and brown kids being attacked by the police. And it's just, it's ridiculous.
What do you?
I guarantee if these were teen takeovers by white kids in Mount Greenwood, there'd be a serious crackdown, and the mayor wouldn't say anything about excusing the bad behavior.
Mount Greenwood is predominantly white, working class neighborhood on Chicago's south side. It's also one of the neighborhoods with the highest concentration of police officers and firefighters as residents. So the implication is clear. Johnson's refusal to enforce is radicalized, not in the direction of protecting white communities, but in the direction of refusing to police black and brown youth in a way that would generate bad optics for him politically. This is a double-edged argument because the people who are being harmed by these takeovers are black too, for the most part. Black and brown people. The business owners that are in Hyde Park, the residents in the South Loop, people who have had their cars destroyed. So when you frame enforcement as attacking black and brown kids, you erase the black and brown people who are actual victims of this chaos. That framing needs to be called out because the communities that are most affected by the lack of enforcement are not the white suburbs. They are the neighborhoods that Johnson claims to represent. Now, here's the part that we need to be really honest about something, because this is not just a government failure story. This is also a parenting story. Yes, Brandon Johnson needs to be held accountable. He's an awful, awful mayor. And yes, the veto was wrong. And yes, the stand-down allegation needs answers. All that stands. But let's be real for a second. A 13-year-old does not end up stomping on cars in Hyde Park at 10 o'clock at night because the mayor used the wrong word. They end up there because somewhere along the line, the first line of defense failed. And the first line of defense is the home. Parents are supposed to know where their children are. I remember watching the news at 10 o'clock and they had that message. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Parents are supposed to be the ones setting the boundaries. Parents are supposed to be the reason their child doesn't end up in a teen takeover in the first place. This is not a radical idea. This is basic parenting. And the community knows it. On April 14th, when a takeover was announced in Hyde Park, residents didn't wait for City Hall. People decided to organize and they had their own parent takeover. Over 100 parents, teachers, community members walking through the neighborhood.
Businessman and philanthropist Early Walker is the one leading this effort after those possible reports of a teen takeover that could happen this evening. Walker is holding this event at Sip and Savor in hopes 100 or more parents will attend. Earlier this month, Walker stepped in to help the owner of the Culvers in Matson, who had issues with teens causing problems inside of her South Suburban restaurant when they got out of school. Walker and the owner used social media to ask parents to help solve the problem, which led to many of them bringing their children to the Culvers in order to apologize.
Themselves to meet the moment. One organizer said it plainly. A lot of people say law enforcement, the mayor, all that. Well, what about the parents? What about the uncles? What about the aunts, the cousins? Nobody is exempt from trying to make this right.
Back in the day, we said it takes a village. Same thing now. Back in the day, there was repercussions and consequences. Right now, there isn't. We need to show them that, hey, this is not cool. You want to have fun? Go to the park, go to the movie, take your girl out to dinner. You don't need to be trashing people's property or jumping on cars and everything, because that's just not cool.
That's the true, real response. The accountability starts from the house. This is where the argument gets complicated and where Johnson's approach falls completely apart. Yes, parents should be the first line of defense. But what happens when they're not? What happens when the home isn't providing the structure what is needed? Because either the parents are not around, they're working multiple jobs, or they're flat out not doing their job, the second line of defense has to step in, and that's law enforcement. That's the city. That's the institutions we collectively fund with our taxpayer dollars to maintain order when individuals don't. Johnson's entire philosophy collapses on that second line. The answer to parental failure is to post a video on social media and ask nicely. His answer to hundreds of teens destroying cars is to call the trend and send in crisis workers. He is trying to remove the law enforcement component of this, and that doesn't work. But let's bring it full circle. You have a mayor who's trying to reframe the problem or rename the problem, who vetoed the curfew his own police superintendent asked for, whose standout allegation has not been denied yet. And we see a city that just watched a 14-year-old get killed at the Christmas tree lighting, and he still wants to call it a trend. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That's why you have that union president who went on record, on camera, and called him a coward. But let me know your opinion on this situation in the comments below. What do you think is responsible for all this, and what are the solutions? Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.